Did you get a chance to watch Happy Gilmore 2 yet?
No, I have not. I've been too busy working.
Yeah, but you got to have something to do in the evenings, right? 8 or 9 p.m. rolls around, throw on Happy Gilmore. It took my wife, I watched it again, but it took us like 3 nights to actually complete it because we were like, we watched like a half hour at a time. They're like, it's time for bed. Let's go. So, but she liked it. Um, Sorry about we had a bit of a late start. I apparently gave Brad the wrong link. So that's my fault, guys. We're usually very punctual. Not this time. Hi. Um, so last week we did an episode where it was get to know Brad Dieter. So I asked him a bunch of questions. A really good episode. I had fun doing it, and I really thought that it would be beneficial to do this type of episode because why should you be trusting the people that are talking to you every week, right? So it was helpful, I think, to for Brad to explain sort of his background, and then also like who is Brad the person, like get to know him a little bit, like his personality, and so I had a lot of fun. But I just thought, well, if we did that for Brad, let's do it again this week. You can throw your questions at me. I've not seen Brad's questions, so I have no clue what type of questions he has for me. Hopefully, they're not uh, too bad, but we'll see. So, I mean, basically, I'm just going to open. Brad's kind of the one in control of the show today. Supposed to be asking questions, and I'll do my best to answer. So, I don't know, Brad. Just hit me with whatever you got, man. We can start whenever.
How did you end up as the head of sales and customer experience at Macros Inc?
We all drew straws in a hat, and I pulled the
You
shortest
don't
one.
draw straws in a hat. You draw them out of a
What do you?
hand.
But that's what we
You
did. We
draw
drew them out of a
numbers
hat.
out of a hat. You don't draw
We like
straws out of a hat. Jeez.
we do
All
things
right, we're gonna
differently
end the
here.
show right there because
We
I don't know
see
where
this.
we
This is
go
why
from
we
there.
do things better and differently than everyone. We drew them out of a hat. So okay, this is kind of funny though because well, it's not funny, but were you? I don't remember what you said. Were you in the IIFYM group years ago?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't.
I'm in like every group on Facebook. I got to keep a
So
tab on things.
yeah. So here's essentially the here's what happened. About 2013 is when I really started taking like my fitness and nutrition seriously. And at the time I was working at Charter in sales, and the guy that worked next to me, my coworker, we were talking about like lifting and eating better and all that. And he goes, "Yeah, you should join the IIFYM group on Facebook." So I was like, "Well, what the hell does that? What is that?" And he kind of explained it, what IIFYM stood for and the whole philosophy. So I joined the group. I really enjoyed it. I understood what they were talking about, and then I just kind of started contributing myself. Like I just was like when people would ask questions, I would answer, and I just would help as much as I could. The admins and moderators took notice, asked if I wanted to become an admin or moderator myself. I said yes, and it wasn't long after that that Jay Woif messaged me, and I don't remember what we talked about, but that's where I met Jay and a bunch of other people, that are in the Macros Inc. group now. But we just stayed in touch, started talking. You get to know somebody and kind of a little bit more about them. You understand what they do for work. So our relationship just sort of developed, and then it was maybe yeah. So would have been 2016, late 2016. Basically, a group of people said, "Let's get out of this group and start our own. Like we can do it better. We can offer more, and we can run this the way we want to." So then Jay says, "Do you want to be part of it? Would you like to come on board and come help? We're going to branch off. We're not going to do this in an IIFYM group anymore. We're going to do our own thing. We'd love for you to join us." So I took some time and really thought about it and eventually said yes. And then, was started, I got my cert, started coaching, um, did that for up until 2019. So for basically early 2017 till 2019, I was coaching people. And then eventually it was like, well, hey, we're we're getting big enough now to where we need someone to kind of take over some of the administrative work. We need someone for customer service. We want to start branching out doing corporate wellness. And so we need someone to do sales for corporate wellness to reach out to these people. And being in sales and the history that I have in that industry, Jay said, "I think you're a good fit for it. So would you like to come on and do it?" So that's when in 2019, I quit my my job at Charter and decided to do this full time. I stopped coaching and just started doing the back end of things with, like I said, with sales and customer service. And then COVID hit, and then we really started ramping up from there when I sort of pivoted to more, instead of B2B, it was more B2C, trying to get people into, our coaching. Hey, we know you need help. Come talk to me. I'll help you guys get in. So then I started doing all the sales myself. We continued to grow, and eventually it was like, well, we need more people to come on and sell for us. And so we just kind of, here we are today, 2025, and it's we have a sales team now. We have an entire customer service team, and so it just kind of evolved from there. And I just ended up needing to, as the business grew, we needed to implement new things into the to be able to handle the volume. And so it was really just, I need to take a step back and start developing and implementing some of these systems to really get us there. And yeah, here I am. So it was just a whirlwind of things. Some of it, it's interesting. You ever feel like part of life is luck, but also like based on your actions and circumstances and the things that you do, you end up kind of making your own luck. Like it was luck that I had met Jay and that he asked me if I wanted to join, but also if I hadn't been in sales, I wouldn't have talked to my coworker who then told me about IIFYM, and I wouldn't have joined the group, and so on and so forth, right? So like the opportunities that you have in life, you kind of make your own luck in a sense, right? Like I guess the more, the harder you work, or the more action you take, the more opportunities for luck you have, is kind of what I've noticed. Like the luckier you get,
You're more likely to roll a 7 on the dice if you roll the dice 100 times than if you roll the dice one time. So I think a lot of life is you make your own luck.
That's exactly it. Yeah, and that's a good analogy.
So from the transition from coaching people to trying to run sort of the sales customer service side of Macros Inc., what has been the biggest challenge of that?
Oh boy. I think it's really just learning to adapt with the time as the business needs change, as the landscape of the world changes, as people's needs change, as people change. I think where we were at in 2020 and 2021 and 2022, that was a much different, world back then as far as we're concerned compared to where we're at now. And so I think really the challenge has just been figuring out, and I haven't, to be clear, I haven't, I'm not saying I've figured it out. I don't think any of us have figured it out, but is just trying to figure out how do you stay relevant, and how do you help people as they, how do you help this new generation of people? How do you communicate with people as the world's, landscape changes, as people's priorities and needs and wants change? It's really just kind of like, I think the biggest challenge has been, like I said, I would just phrase it as staying relevant and staying, how do you stay in business when all these other companies are struggling or going under, right? And people are, the people feel like they have less spending power, and like, how do you really get people to understand that like, you might have less free money to spend, but like, how can I help people understand that what money they do have is worth investing in us, because it's going to help you with your health? Like getting people to understand, I think that investing in their health is probably the best investment you can make. And then here's how we can help you do that. I think that's kind of been the challenge, is really helping people understand why it's important to invest in this, and then why us over all the other choices that they have, right? So I think it's just been all of that in a nutshell.
What do you think you've learned the most over the last 5-6 years?
I think it would have to be that what you think, when you think you know something, that's probably eventually going to change, and that you have to be willing to continually learn and not get stuck in your old ways. And you have to you always have to be like trying to learn the next the next thing, because we've seen what happens when you sit back and you kind of rest on your laurels and you don't, and you just get complacent. um so I think it's just the biggest thing for me is that I've learned you have to keep learning, and I've learned that I've learned it's not easy, right? It's But I think that the learning part, as much as we ask our clients to learn about whatever it is they're after and their goals, and like learn about nutrition and learn about training and everything, we have to do the same for ourselves. Otherwise you sort of fade away into obscurity, and you kind of you go backwards, and you don't want to go backwards. But I think it's got to be that. I mean, it's just the importance of trying to stay on top of your craft and be the best you can be really comes down to like, what am I willing to go learn, and am I willing to can I apply what I've learned, and can I continue to do that always?
What do you think is the biggest hurdle people put in front of themselves that stops them from making the progress they want?
We like our comfort zones, that we like familiarity, we like where we're at, we like we like familiarity. It's putting yourself through something to get something that you want is difficult, and we sort of shy away from that discomfort, because it's not wired into us to always seek to always be challenged with something. So I think the biggest thing people put in front of themselves is wanting their cake and eating it too. Like we want to have this awesome physique, and we want to look good, but we also want to have like a fun social life, and these weekends where I get to eat pizza and go out and drink all the time and party. Or that's just one example, but like we want to have the lifestyle that we're currently living, while simultaneously wanting a body that can only be had if you stop living the way you're currently living. And I think that just comes down to like, we're just so comfortable with being comfortable that it's hard to make yourself want to push beyond that and just be regularly uncomfortable.
Do you think that's really it though, or do you think it's people don't actually believe they can have what's on the other side, so they don't trust themselves to make the change?
Yeah, I mean I think that, sure,
I mean,
that is.
here's what I think is probably true. I think most people's general lifestyles are not so egregious that they're so far from getting to where they want to be. Like, I think most people's lifestyle is not, I go out, I eat way too much all the time, I drink way too much all the time, I'm just living this party lifestyle, I don't want to get healthy. I think a lot of people are much close, like they would have to give up much less, and their life would change much less than they think to get the results they want. I think a lot of people are just not convinced that it's possible for them.
But why do you think that is? See, I agree with you, but I think the reason for why that is because they realize that I'm more comfortable staying where I'm at than I am putting myself through what I think I have to go through to get there.
Maybe. Or is it they just don't want to take any risk of failing?
There's That's certainly part of it
I
too. I
think
mean,
it's more of that than, oh, I don't want to give up pizza. Like,
well,
I think it's more of people don't want to face the potential of, I'm committed to changing something, but then I can't do that, than they are actually of what it means to give things up. Right? Like, if you actually ask what people would objectively have to give up, it's like, well, it's really not that much. And in reality, you're not really giving things up. You're just
are
changing a
you
little bit of
counting?
your daily habits.
Well, when you say you're not really going to have to give things up, are you talking about quantifying the number of things you'd have to give up, or are you? Because to me, that's a subjective thing. It depends on how much value you place on what you're giving up, as opposed to a quantifiable number of things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think for most people, like they just have so over indexed what it actually is that they value. And I think more people, I mean, I could be wrong again. I just think more people are afraid of not getting the result than they are actually changing some of their habits.
Well, I think it's pretty well known that we as humans are far more risk averse than we are the potential reward, right? Like I think that's pretty well known.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's very true. But I also then just like try to index it and think about like, okay, what are you actually giving up? Like when people are like, "Oh, I don't want this to not work again." It's like, okay, like let's be objective. What would you actually be risking or giving up? Like, okay, maybe like over the next 6 months, you're going to miss 4 nights out with people at some bar and you're going to skip pizza 5 times and you're going to, I don't know, say no to the birthday cake at that 3-year old's party you didn't really want to go to anyway. Like, and the sum of all of the big things that you're going to give up, it's like, that's about it. Now, you're going to have to change your daily habits, but like in reality, it's not, you're not actually giving up these massive things. I think it's more of people are just like, I don't want to do something else that won't work.
So you think it's a perception thing more than anything?
100%.
Yeah, I mean I could agree with that.
Um, just trying to follow through on this line of questioning, this line of interrogation. I feel like we should be in a dark room with a styrofoam cup of really crappy coffee here, and like just a light on you and a polygraph
That
test.
that that sounds like a Howard Johnson hotel.
I don't know what that is. What's a Howard Johnson hotel?
Just like it's an old hotel that used to be. It was like a hotel chain that called it Howard Johnson. That's I think it turned into. I think Hilton bought them out or something. I don't know. It
Oh,
was an
okay.
old crappy hotel chain.
I don't know.
You,
Uh,
you didn't stay in old crappy hotels. That's pretty evident. Okay,
no,
continue.
we did. I remember one time we were kids, and we went to some like we had to go to some like distant family member's funeral, and we like myself, my mom, my sister, my aunt, and my 2 cousins all shared like a hotel room in the middle of nowhere, Washington. It was called the
Oh God,
Quality Inn, and we
was it
walked
a
in, and
roadside one?
oh, dude, it was just such a mess. Like the toilet hadn't been flushed, like they clearly hadn't cleaned anything. And I remember my like 6-year-old cousin walks in, and she just goes, "Huh, for a Quality Inn, this isn't very quality."
That's pretty good.
Um, what's been the most interesting thing you've learned through your experience here?
Can we further drill down on interesting?
No, in general, what's the most interesting thing you've learned here?
um, Probably consumer behavior. In that, so I'll give you an example. I used to think that there's no way that if when companies send you a marketing email, I don't know about you, but I open it and then like within sorry, turn my phone off. Within like the first few seconds, I kind of determine like, nah, I'm not going to read this. Like, and I just back out. And I kind of assumed that that was what everyone did. And it turns out that's not the case. If it turns out that if you are if you have something that somebody is interested in, if your email looks good, if your kind of your opening section captures their attention, if it has the right elements, they'll read. And so I think for me it was the realization that email is not pointless. People do read them, and that my perception of advertising was not probably the common way people like look at it, right? Because again, before I ever came on, I just didn't read like advertising emails. I just didn't. I would click on it, I would like open the email just to mark it as read, and then I'd back out immediately, and I just would basically never read it. And so I just didn't think it would work. And I've learned that obviously it does work. It has to be the right content. Not everyone's going to like what you're writing, but you know, it does engage people. It's brought some pretty incredible people into our client community. We've definitely changed a lot of lives, and people have been like expressed they've expressed immense gratitude for the help that we've given them. And it all started with the way we speak to people in our emails and our communication with them. And so what I again, yeah, I guess just to summarize it, it's what I thought would not work does work, and that people do read these things, and that your communication and what you write and how you convey that matters like immensely. It's like pretty much the only thing that matters. So
What
consumer behavior, I guess, if you wanted to boil that down to a couple words.
what has been easier than you thought, and what has been harder than you thought?
Um, what's been easier than I thought? These probably the technical slash tactical parts of the job, where like the actual software that we use a bunch of different software, right? And when we when we started using our CRM, it's very robust and there's a lot to learn. But I picked it up quite easily, and like the things that you and I do on a daily basis, like the way the things we use to navigate our job and get our jobs done, much easier than I thought. But what's harder is everything that we do within those jobs. Within that software, I should say, if that makes sense, right? Like learning a new program, learning where to go for things, learning how workflows work, learning how certain design elements work. That's a lot of information, but it's not all that difficult at the end of the day. It's not all that complicated. But how you it's everything that you so like an example would be, I was just talking about it, the emails, right? I think, and you and I have spent a lot of time trying to figure out what's the best way to write an email so that people can truly understand what it is we offer, how we can genuinely help them, and like what it takes to get started. And like again, why us instead of these other companies? Like that has been much more difficult, is convincing people that we're not a scam, that we're legitimate, that we are worth investing your what money you do have in us, that we can help you with your health. I think conveying those things and that comes down to writing your emails. You know, how do our pages look? How do we conduct ourselves in the group? How do we speak to people? I think that's all been much more difficult, and that has changed over the last several years. The way we could speak to somebody, our audience in 2020, is much different than it is in 2025. So I think all of that part has been way more difficult than I ever thought. And for a long time, I was admittedly naive enough to think that it would always just be easy, that like we could just say whatever and like here's how coaching works and here's what you get, and they'll just sign up. It's much more difficult than that. So I think that for me has been the most difficult part, is just keeping up with what you're learning, and then like applying that, staying relevant. How do I talk to people as that changes throughout time? It's just you always have to keep up with it, and it always changes. It's very difficult.
How much do you think resiliency matters?
I think it's like the probably the only, not the only thing, but like it's the top of the list. I mean, it's the top of the list. It's like the what did I text you the other day? I know I've sent you a couple things, but like let's see. Yeah, Steve Jobs, right? Some years you win, some years you build character. And to be honest, you're probably
Some
gonna
decades you win, some decades you build
well,
character.
what I was just gonna say is like, don't you think that like if you had to like put percentages on your time and say X percent of my time is winning, X percent of my time is building character, there's probably a lot more building character than there is winning, wouldn't you say?
I would say it's 95 plus percent building character. I mean, you got
Right?
to think like let's say in business, winning would be having top line revenue grow, or winning would be getting to write yourself a big paycheck at the end of the year, or winning would be even just something as simple as like signing up a single client, right?
Correct.
The amount of work it takes to go from nothing to one of those wins is a a lot of work, b takes a long time, and c ends up with a huge amount of failure. And the actual win lasts 5 minutes,
Exactly.
right? Like I think, okay, let's say we do a some sort of like promotional thing to sign up clients. We do a challenge, we do a Black Friday sale, whatever.
Black Friday, right? Yeah.
It takes us 3 months to get prepared for that, right? Like we have to think about the strategy, we have to think about the offer, we have to design the web pages, we have to build all the emails, we have to design the ads, we have to figure out the ad budget, we have to train the sales staff, we have to prepare the coaches, and then we launch it. And let's say we get a couple hundred extra clients sign up than normal. Well, then the day after that ends, the reward is we get to go coach the clients, and then we have to start that process over for what's next. Like you get like basically a day or a week to like enjoy it. And so it's really just
It's
this
very
ability to
short-lived.
like I have to keep going, right? It's sort of like whenever I talk to clients and they're like, "Hey, like I'm really struggling. Adhering to this diet for a long period of time is tough. Like I just feel like there's no end in sight." And sometimes the conversation I have is the reward for you doing a really good day on your program is you get to do the next day. Like that's the reward. And so I think teaching people that level of resiliency is really important. But the question is, how do you teach people that?
Well, but that's why I said it's like at the top of the list, because if you're saying, which I think what you're saying is I totally agree, it's accurate. If 95% of it is building character, which we is a different word for saying we're
Getting kicked in the
failing.
shin.
Yeah, getting your ass kicked, right? So if 95% of your time is that, you absolutely have to be resilient, because otherwise you're just going to be like, you know what, screw this. Like this isn't right. Like you're going to quit. So resilience has to be at the top. I think it's and you really have to get used to things not going your way or not going the way you wanted them to go, and then just being like, you just have to accept it and be like, okay, well, I guess I'll try this next.
Yeah, I heard a quote. And it was like, and I'll kind of extrapolate this into what we do with our clients. Like in entrepreneurship, winning is not like building a business and selling it. Winning is continuing to play the game, right? And I think about that all the time with my clients. It's like you lose the weight and you look in the mirror and you're happy. That's not really the win. The win is you get there and you get to keep going. Because every day you wake up and you keep going, you continue to prove to yourself you are the person that you became. And it wasn't just once, it's like every day. And I think that's a huge part of it. You know, I think about um, if you, let's say 3 years ago, we were to just have like been like, okay, we're just done. Like Macros Inc., we grew it to the size we wanted to grow it to. We all accomplished these goals and we stopped. Think about everything you've learned in the last 3 years. Like you would have missed out on all of those learnings.
That's true.
And that's where most of the magic is, right? Like that's where you become more valuable as a person.
So do you think that's part of how, like your $1 million question was like, how do you teach that? And I don't know, is that teachable? Like, can you teach someone to just be like, get used to failing all the time and you're going to have to deal with it? Or is that a personality trait?
Um, I think part of it's innate. I think the other part is like you can show somebody through experience. Like if you can drag somebody through something really difficult and show them that they're capable of surviving it, right? Sort of it's
That's a good point.
like look at this is a very extreme example, but like look at the training pipeline for like Navy SEALs, Delta Force, etc.
Yeah. Intense.
Most of what they do there is just showing you that you are capable of doing things that really suck. All right. So then when you're out in the world and something real happens, like you're like, oh, I've done it
Yeah.
before. I can do it again.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think a
You're
lot
like,
of
I've
times
been
like
through worse.
we just don't know what we're capable of. And so I think when you can show people and pull them along, I think that's a big part of what we do as coaching. Is like when you hit a rough spot, you have a bad day, you have a bad week, and you just keep going. We get to help show people they are who they wished and they thought they could become.
Yes.
Okay, so kind of pivoting here, outside of Macros Inc., what things are you interested in? What things do you enjoy thinking about?
Existential philosophical questions. I mean, like, it sounds
Like
like I'm being,
dot dot dot.
yeah, right. So, how big is the universe? Where'd this all come from?
Huge.
Right? Where? Here's one for you. Here's another question that I'd like to think about. If there were no humans, like if there was no sentient life, like no organic life, to experience the universe, would the universe still objectively exist? Right? Stuff like that.
That's the old anthropic argument.
Right. So I nerd out on that kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff. I like I like sciencey things. I really like just trying to like find those answers and like following these science pages on like did you see the news that they discovered it's a planet like 124 light years away that's like 4 times the size of Earth, but it has the strongest evidence of organic life thus far. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. Like that kind of stuff. As I love, I love going there. I love putting my head there and thinking about what would that be like? I mean, I have a telescope that's just a $300 telescope. My kids and I will go outside and look up at the stars and like just universe stuff. Is like what I really geek out on, which sucks because my wife has like no interest in any of that. So anytime I talk about it, she's like, "Okay, thanks." She just doesn't give a crap. So I have like no one to talk to about it except my own kids, and even they're like, "Okay, Dad." So I'm kind of in my own world in that
Now you have your
sense.
good friend Chat GPT. You can just talk to it.
Yeah,
It'll have a
that's yeah,
conversation with you.
yeah. Well, because you like, I mean, I know you're. Do you have a telescope? I think I asked you. I know I asked you if you had one out in Sandpoint, but do you have one at your home?
No.
Do you own one at all? Okay.
Mm-mm.
Like, is that something that would interest you?
Yeah, I think once my kiddo's a little bit older, for sure. Well, I used to be in the Spokane Astronomical Society in middle school, so
Had a boy.
yeah,
Had a boy.
huge nerd.
But do you like? Do you? And this is supposed to be your Q and A. I understand that. But do you like thinking about those same things? Like, do you question like, why am I like, why is this here? Why am I here? How am I like all those existential philosophical questions, or are you more like hard facts and like the science part of it, and not so much the
I went through a
philosophical
big
side?
phase of my life where I spent a lot of time thinking about those questions. Right now, at this stage, I have too many other things to like spend my brain power on that I don't spend as much time thinking about them.
Yeah. Does it
But
have
like,
anything to do with the fact that they're like basically unanswerable? That you just like I don't spend time on them anymore?
well, the thing is, what those type of questions are really good at is one, getting you to like shift your thinking into a different mode, and two, to really confront you with the idea of like there are things that we cannot know,
For sure.
right? And then just to be open minded about things that you cannot know and we may never be able to know. But
Which
that doesn't
sucks.
mean they're not worth thinking about.
But that's the fun in pursuing them, right? Is like the endless like I'll never know the answer to this is like what makes the pursuit of it fun, at least for me. So I don't know.
Uh, More specifically, like what things do you actually think about?
I mean, I think a lot about what we do here. I think a lot about work. I'll find myself getting up to use the bathroom at 3 a.m. and then going back to lay down and thinking about what do I got to do the rest of the day? Like, what are the things that I gotta like? What problem is there going to be today to solve? So I
If
do
you
think
don't
about
have one,
work a
I'll
lot.
make one.
Yeah. So I do think a lot about work and like what is the next day going to bring, and and so on and so forth with work. But um, you want to know something? This is going to sound very morbid, and I don't mean this in any sort of like bad way. I just don't know how to say this without making people be like, "Wow, what a weirdo." But maybe I am a weirdo. But I think about I'm 39 years old, so I'll be 40 in March. And like that's, hopefully I'm midway through life. I'd love to hopefully I live until my, in my 80s and maybe beyond. But I think about that a lot, and like specifically like death is coming. Like, and again, that sounds horrible, but like I realize my own mortality. I look at my kids, I'm like, my oldest is 10 already. How did that happen? She's growing up. In 8 years, she's going to be out of high school. How did that happen? Like, I'll be 50 soon. So I think a lot about how quickly time goes by and how much closer I am to like to death someday. I'm going to die someday. And like, am I leaving a good mark upon this earth? Am I raising my kids right so that when I'm gone, I've hopefully instilled the right principles in them. So I think a lot about my legacy and like just how fast time goes by, and how much I'm going to look back in like a split second and I'll be 70 and then I'll be 80, and then it's my time. So I think about that a lot. And I didn't used to do that before I had kids. I think I just have realized more and more my own mortality.
Isn't it wild how much time we waste?
Uh yes. It's wild. It's and not just that, but how much more quickly time seems to go by the older you get, and then you really realize what the hell have I been doing,
My
right? Like, and you
grandma had a
feel like you've
saying.
wasted your time.
Yeah, my grandma had a saying, life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes.
A wise woman.
Yeah.
Have you heard the theory about why time seems to go by more quickly the older you get?
Well, I mean, the fact that like every day of your life as you get older represents a smaller and smaller portion of your life. Also, pretty sure as we
There's
get older, our
that.
brains just start to fall apart and the sense of time makes no sense. I think
Well,
also,
there.
like, I think a big part of it is when you are young, everything is new. And so
That's exactly what I
you're
was. Yep.
imprinting things in your brain, which makes it feel like things are it's easier to recall time and it seems so
Yes.
much longer because new things are happening.
Correct.
But as you get older, everything just becomes a little bit more of the
It blends
same.
together.
And
It
so
blends
there's less things
exactly.
that stand out distinctively. So you have less markers of time and everything seems to be the same.
Yep. That's the theory, right? Is right there is there are as we get older there are fewer memorable, unique events. And it's those memorable, unique events, it's the gaps between those that we kind of use to measure our sense of time. And when there are fewer of those, yeah, it just all kind of blends together. And suddenly you're like, it's August already, almost August. It was just Christmas. We're almost in August already. Like, what the hell has happened to the year? So it's wild.
What has become more important to you as you get older and what has become less important to you as you get older?
Oh, man. More important, my health and obviously my family, but like really my health, because I realized, man, I want to live as long as I can for you guys. So health has become much more important. You remember what it was like to be 20 and you felt like you were invincible, right? And now you go play basketball and your back hurts for a couple of days. I don't actually know what hurts. Maybe your knees hurt. I don't know what you're still keeping up with those young bucks pretty well, but like your health obviously matters a lot more. And what I would say what doesn't matter as much anymore is like how I don't feel like I care as much about how I don't want to say how I look, because I do care about how I look. I want to be presentable, but like I'm not the kind of guy that needs a ripped six pack anymore. I don't, I don't try to impress people. Like I just I don't care as much about trying to like live for other people that don't really, matter to me, or like who am I trying to impress? I think that I guess the way to put that would be the superficial things just don't matter as much to me anymore. Like things don't matter as much to me anymore. At this stage in my life, I'm more about my health and experience. You know, those moments with my kids, the experience with my wife. My wife and I are only going to be this age one time. In 20 years, we're both going to be in our 60s and wish we were youthful again. So like it's the important thing to me is experiencing and enjoying what I'm doing right now with her and them and my health and making sure I can be fully present.
What do you think happens when we die?
I love that question. Did you just wing that one or did you have it planned? Because that's a great question.
No, it just kind of came up from the conversation.
I I'll give you my answer and then I want to hear yours because I'm curious what you think too. So I guess I'm a bit agnostic. I don't deny that there's a possibility of something happens after you die. But I think the question I always ask myself and I ask others is, what was it like before you were born? Like, what was it like to experience what was the experience like before you were born? And of course, the answer is like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I don't have any experience of that. So the only thing that you experience is living right now, right? In other words, when you die, other people are born. So you can only experience it one at a time. Nature abhors a vacuum. Like you can't, like the way I see it is you can't really have an experience of nothingness. So the only thing that can happen after you die is the same sort of experience as when you were born. But again, you can only experience it one at a time. So to put a bow on this answer is it really comes down to how do you define when you ask the question, what do you believe happens when you die? How do you define you? Like, what do I believe happens to this ego, this Dylan? This shell just sits in the ground and rots away, right? That so it depends on what you mean by you. So like the if we redefine you as in human beings and life and animals is how the universe like experiences itself, well then we don't die, we keep going, like the universe in the same way that that an apple tree apples, the universe peoples. So like you while the individual dies, like life itself is still there. Like just you can only experience it one at a time. So something happens after life or after death, which is just more life, more of the same experience. Whether that happens in a different reality, I don't know. But like you can't have an experience of nothing. That just doesn't make sense.
Why not?
How would you experience because
You
experiencing nothing evokes a something.
That's not true.
Sure it does. Sure it is. I mean, how would you the concept of nothingness requires a something to experience nothingness. It's a conundrum. It doesn't make any sense.
That puts in a whole lot of like philosophical suppositions that you're just assuming to be true.
I would agree, but you asked me what do I think, so there you go.
Yeah.
What about you? I mean, what's your answer? What do you think happens?
I have no idea.
You got to give a better answer than that.
I
I mean, none of us know. It's just what do you think based on your earthly brain and what you know?
I think the energy from our body gets redistributed to the rest of the planet, the universe, etc.
I see, and I don't disagree with that at all either. I think like it's almost kind of saying the same thing. I think you're just putting the physical world into it. Like
Yeah.
you're just speaking in terms of a physical quality. So yeah, whether I mean that energy, what something happens to it, right? But
Gets
that's
transformed into
yeah,
the nitrogen in the dirt, the carbon in the trees, the
and the cycle continues, right? And
yeah.
from that energy, new things are born and they come into life and they get a whole new experience, and then the whole cycle just keeps going. So, like in that regard, there is life after death if you want to consider that. It just depends on what your concept of life after death is.
Yep.
Great question, dude.
Um If there was one thing you could change about yourself, what would it be?
I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl. If I did, I would call her.
Thing is, everybody, all of those things are true. Dylan does wish he was taller. Wish he could play basketball.
Man. Why can't I think of who the hell was it that sang that song? Anyway, I can't think of his name.
I don't know. I
I'm
can't
gonna
think
look
of
it
it
up.
either.
It's a little bit. Yeah. It was Skilo. Okay. Um, I boy, about myself. I wish I had like a superhuman, like genius intellect. Like, do you know who Tony Stark is?
No,
Iron Man, right?
no idea.
So in the supposedly in the comics, I'm not a comic book guy, but he's like he's got like an IQ of like 260 or something like that. It would be fun to be like so smart that you can like figure almost anything out, or I wonder what a 260 IQ would actually mean. Like what would that how would you think? Like
Well, I can.
what would your thought process be like?
It's not kind.
Like as in
The
what do you
people
mean?
who,
Like
if you look at the lives of people who have had super intellects, they're generally miserable.
depressed and
They're
not
just
like
generally
just not
miserable.
why do you think that is?
I think it is a burden. It's like, imagine if you were to live your entire life with all of the people around you being 3 year olds. Like, just imagine that, right? And like,
Oh my
imagine
god.
trying to explain how you know the things you know. Like, did you ever? I think the movie was called The Man Who Knew Infinity,
Never heard of
about
it.
the Indian mathematician Ramachandran.
Okay.
So this was a guy who was born in like the poorest parts of India and had no formal mathematical training, but just like knew things about advanced mathematics without any training. And so he ended up like going to like Oxford or Cambridge or something and like studied mathematics, but like the way his brain worked was so different from everybody else that he like really
Hmm.
struggled as a human. And if you look at like the other people who've had brains like that, it's like trying to communicate with a different species. And
So
it's
you probably
not,
feel very isolated.
and I don't think it's because you're just like feel superior to everybody else. I think your brain just operates so differently that like you cannot understand what it's like to be somebody else.
So you're saying that maybe that wish would be more of a curse than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. It would be cool to be able to like I guess any problem that you come across, if I could change that one thing about myself, it would be the ability to like solve it like really quickly. Like just figure out the answer, arrive at it, and go. Like as opposed to the much longer time process it takes us. Like
But
I
isn't
wish I
the
could like
struggle
understand I wish
part
I
of
could
the
understand
fun?
almost anything very quickly. Say that again.
Isn't the struggle part of the fun? Like
Yes, but it's
you used
also
to play
fun. Right?
video
It's
games,
also fun
right?
having the answer really quickly. Like I like being like, oh, there's the answer. That is satisfying to me
You
too.
used to play Mortal Kombat, right? Wasn't
I
it?
did. Yes.
And did you have more fun when you played against really good people where the matches were difficult, or when you would log in and you were a level 100 and somebody was a level 1 and it was over in 2 seconds?
I mean, I just didn't. Yeah. I mean, to that, your point is valid. Like I would just deny the people that I didn't like. I knew would be easy. 100%. You have to fight people that are tough.
Yeah. So imagine if everything in your life was just like, well, wasn't worth my time.
So, I guess yeah. I mean,
Sorry, I'm not trying to poke holes in your answer. I'm just trying to like,
well, I there is a lot of yes. I mean, I get the pursuit is fun, but again, when you like the the other fun part is I've arrived, I got the answer, here it is. Like that is a satisfying thing to me. It's like when you sell somebody, right? When I used to work at Charter and I'd be on the phone and I'd talk to them and boom, it was I got a sale. Like there was that quick like yes, like yeah, the pursuit of it was fun, but like boom, I got a sale, let's go. Like that was also kind of the fun, right? The high of it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you're interesting. What else you got?
What is your least favorite food?
I don't know that I really have like there's not a whole lot that I won't eat. You probably know that about me because I'll just like eat whatever. um I really don't like beans. I go to Chipotle, they're like, what kind of beans you want? I'm like, I don't even want beans, dude. So I don't know. I don't know. It's something about the texture. Not really a fan of those. Do you put beans in your burrito?
Yeah.
Ugh, I don't need no beans. Get them out
Uh,
of here.
when are you actually going to pay your debt?
Dude, I actually thought about that on Saturday, and then because when I was at your place on Saturday, I'm thinking I didn't tell you because what am I going to do about it? But I should have. I wish I would have when we were in like Sandpoint walking down that street. I didn't see any alcohol like any liquor stores, but I wish I would have gone in and remembered. I would have bought you a 6 pack of PBR or something. I totally forgot. Was there a liquor store on that street that we were on? I didn't see one. There probably
I mean,
was
there was
somewhere. I don't
restaurants
know.
you could have gone into.
I guess. Yeah. Well, it was also. I mean, what time were we there? Like 11 a.m. I don't think
It was like
you don't
noon.
strike me as you don't strike me as an 11 a.m. noon beer kind of guy.
No. Just for the record, Dylan lost a bet in which if he lost, he was supposed to buy me a beer. And then afterwards, I ended up having to take him to dinner and bought him dinner and a beer. So this is like 5 years ago, 4 years ago now. So I don't know when he's going to pay his debt, but with interest, it's like he owes
I
me like a
don't think.
full steakhouse dinner at this point.
Yeah, but I don't think. Didn't we put that on the company card? I
No,
don't.
we did not.
You pulled out your own personal card?
Yes.
I don't
Like
remember
I
you doing
always
that.
do for everybody.
God, I'm such a jackass. I'm sorry, man. I thought that was a company paid dinner.
Even if
Okay,
it
so to answer
was,
your, I
like, it's technically out of our own pockets. So
all right, I
technically
still
I
haven't
could pay
answered your
for it.
question. Your question is when will I repay that debt? I promise, cross my heart. Next year's meetup, I will buy you.
If I were a
I'll buy
bookie,
you a
you
couple
would have
beers.
you would have all your fingers broken by now.
You know, I
Rocky
will
style.
repay that debt soon.
What is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Salty caramel.
What is
What
your
kind did you?
least
What?
what's your least favorite genre of music?
You're gonna hate me. Not really a fan of rap.
Okay.
Certain songs I do like. There are a couple that I like. I like a lot of Eminem songs. I like a lot. There are some Lil Wayne songs that I like. Aside from that, not really a fan.
Noted.
But there are some good tunes. There are exceptions.
What's the worst movie you've ever watched? See, I'm trying to ask you questions because most people are like, "What's your favorite X?" I'm like, I want to know the opposite. What's the worst movie you've ever seen? And you can't
It's
Google
called. No, I was gonna show you. It's like I said, probably don't need to show you. It's called The Room.
The Room.
The Room. If you want to laugh your butt off, Google The Room and do me a favor. Go to IMDb and look up the reviews on. It's the one that James Franco and somebody else. The movie was so bad that they made a movie about it. It's called The Room with Tommy Wiseau is the. It's the worst thing you will ever see, but you won't be able to stop watching it because it's so bad you just end up laughing.
What's it about?
I don't even know, dude. Like it's about this guy that has a crush or has his he's got a crush on this other dude's fiance. Like that's basically it. And the whole movie is just I can't even explain it. You're just gonna have to watch it sometime because I guarantee you will be watching it and be like, "What the hell am I watching?" And you won't be able to stop, and you will be laughing at how bad it is. Like Hollywood, James Franco, and I can't remember who else was in it, but they made a movie about it. It was so bad. Like they made a movie about the movie. That's how historically bad it is. So yeah, check that out sometime. Although I know it's going to take you a couple of years because it took you years to watch Blackberry. So
Dude, some of us have like a grown adult stuff to do.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Like I have to rewatch Big Bang Theory for the 90th time. What is your favorite movie of all time?
I don't know that I have a favorite, but I have several. The Bourne movies are at the top of my list. I love the Bourne movies.
That's weird.
Dumb and Dumber, Contact,
Contact's a good movie.
and then probably Inception.
Hmm.
I thought the concept of Inception was so genius. Nobody had done anything like that before that I loved it. So those would be my top. Hard to pick an absolute favorite, but those are my top. Do you have a favorite? What's your favorite?
Mm. I would have to say Shawshank is definitely up there.
Yeah, that is solid. That's a good choice.
Um, man,
I'm surprised you didn't say Interstellar.
that's definitely up there. Um, what other movie was really good? Yeah, you know what was really interesting? Did you ever? I usually like Christopher Nolan movies. Did you watch
Me
Tenet?
too. I I'd not seen the whole thing because I remember watching about half of it. It was very difficult for me to understand the audio. I couldn't hear him worth a crap.
Yeah, I I didn't. I just think I didn't understand the movie to be honest. I
Well,
was like, I
that
have
was
no
part of
idea
it
what's going
too.
on. Another
Yeah,
movie. I'm pretty sure it's a Christopher Nolan movie. That's like one of my top movies. Is Memento.
that's a good one. I think if you're that's one of those movies. If you're expecting something traditional, you're gonna like hate it because it's so out of whack. But you watch it a couple times, it's good. What about Donnie Darko?
I like Donnie Darko. It's not on my. It's not on my top five.
I'd say see it's good for like
We,
cleverness.
we were in a
But
meeting the other day, and I quoted Donnie Darko. I was like, "Where on the spectrum of fear to love do you think this conversation falls?"
yeah. Oh, I think I remember. I think that was in the was that in the last Wednesday's meeting with the leadership meeting? I think I remember that conversation. Yeah.
I don't know. It all blends together so much. If you could leave, you could sign off this podcast with a quote. What would it be?
In case I don't see you,
Good afternoon, good
good
evening, and good
evening and
night.
good night. Yeah, probably that. Oh, I read. Speaking of Interstellar, I have to tell you, I don't remember where I read this. Might have been Facebook. It's been 10 years since, or maybe it's been. I don't remember. It's
It's
10.
been
Let's call it
one
10
week
years
since you
since.
looked at me.
Oh, 15 years, right? 15 years since no, it is 10 years. Sorry. 10 years since Interstellar came out, and only 1 hour has passed on Miller's Planet.
Relativity is such a wild thing.
Isn't it bizarre? The grandfather paradox.
I mean, those aren't really the same. Those aren't really related. So
No, I'm just thinking about like different bizarre things, like if you did things that just rack your brain. Relativity, the
yeah, the
grandfather
grandfather
paradox, like
paradox though is like that's more of a thought experiment than anything. It's probably not even like a real thing.
I mean,
But
but it's
relativity is
about
definitely a real
they
thing.
are they are similar because they both deal with time, right? I mean,
I mean, then everything's connected because it all has to do with physics. Like they're not all the
true.
same thing. All right. Well, with that,
Well, thank you.
we'll sign off.
I hope everyone. Oh, did we get a chat? Uh, I live right down the road from the prison Shawshank was filmed in, and many other scenes. We have a Shawshank Trail where you follow a map to all kinds of movie scene places. That would be sweet.
That's awesome.
That'd be super cool. Thank you for sharing that, Holly. I appreciate it. All right. We are going to duck out of here. Let me get my, my lovely outro video, and you can see us dancing to the outro. So, hey, Brad, thank you for the fantastic questions. Appreciate you, dude. We'll see you all next week. Goodbye.
Wow.